Hi guys, and welcome to another bowling review video. But specifically today, we're not gonna be doing a bowling review video. Getting used to saying that like where the style of all my videos I just said it like subconsciously. But anyway, today we're gonna be doing sort of like a review of typical house shot oiling versus like sport shot oiling. And more specifically here, I'm gonna be featuring the upcoming Singapore International Open Oiling, which I believe is going to be played. Well, when? Let me just take a look at the website. Right, just drag this over here. It's gonna be starting on December, right? Or 3rd of December, which is like 1 month away. So for any of you guys, if you're Singaporean, I think I wonder if registration is actually closed. You gotta check the rules and regulations on Singapore Bowling Federation's website, and I don't know whether registration is closed yet. Let me just take a quick look at the rules and regulations. Mobile. Entry fees. Registration. There's advance booking. 2-week period. Oh, okay. So advanced registration and MQ purchase period. So 14 November to 18 November. Okay. So fellow Singaporeans, you can still enter. You can still enter if you're interested in it. And probably gonna be yep. So this video, I'm gonna talk about the typical house shot oiling versus the sports oiling. So it's kind of like a precursor to my second video, which I'll probably gonna be reviewing the Singapore International Open oiling specifically, and talk about like maybe some strategies that I would use personally. Obviously, no, I'm not the most experienced coach, right? I'm only be coaching for like 3 years. So these are just my personal opinions, but okay, we'll talk about that in later video. So let's get into it. So a typical house shot versus a sport shot, like what difference does it make, right, to the regular bowler? And how is your ball motion gonna be like different on a house shot versus like a sport shot? And why is it harder to like get higher scores in the sport shot? Why do professionals actually play on sport shots? Why don't they like do tournaments on house shot and so on? Okay, so I'm gonna link a video by J.R. Raymond as well, because I actually got inspired to do this video by no recently just watching J.R. Raymond's video on it, and I'm gonna just go a little bit more in depth as compared to his video, so that as a viewer, you can watch his video and then you can come back and watch my video and see what kind of different takes that we have as coaches, because he's obviously a coach as well as a pro player. Okay, coming back. So this is our typical house shot. So this is a Kegel oiling. They just call it an anonymous house shot, and I found it online. I just googled for like a typical house shot, and this is what I got, right? Which is this is as house shot as a house shot can be. So first and foremost is that we look at the ratio of outside oil to inside oil. So it's 15:1, which means if I bring out my Epic pen, okay, Give me a moment. Let's does it load? Okay, it's loaded. So the ratio of the oil here on the inside compared to the ratio of oil on the outside is 15:1. So there's a lot, like 15 times thicker oil in the middle of the lane as compared to the sides of the lane from board 7 to 3. Typically, there's like almost no oil. Like nowadays on the typical house shot, there's like almost zero oil, right? On the like boards, there's totally zero oil on boards 1, 2, and 3. So there's no oil at all, and there's very, very little oil on boards 4, 5, 6, and 7, as depicted on this chart here. Okay, so there's very little oil here, but there's totally zero oil. It's like desert dry, right? It's as dry as a desert on boards 1 to 3. And then there's a 15 times thicker oil right in the middle, right? From boards all the way from boards 12 to like the board 12 on the left. Okay, so that is a typical house shot. So what's really good, and why do people like bowling on like a house shot, and why do like lane centers put out house shot patterns? Basically it's because it is really really high scoring, because it gives a hook bowler, as long as you know, regardless of your ref rate, whether you're low ref or high ref. I mean, actually, like medium ref to low ref bowlers have a better performance on like house shot. But so let's kind of explain it. So for example, let's say you bowl on a house shot, right, and you miss to the right. So when you miss to the right, your ball is going to go here into the dry, right? So it goes in the dry, and your ball is going to start hooking. And as it hooks, it's gonna get into the oil again, and it's gonna stay there, and it's gonna get into the pocket when you miss right. So what happens when you miss left, right? When you miss left, let's say you start this, assuming if the bowler drifts in, misses right. So if you like go straight and you miss left, let's say you pull the shot, you release the shot here, and you kind of miss slightly left. What happens is that it hits the oil, right? So your ball is going to drift and skid in the oil, and it's going to stay there and go straight into the pocket again. So you're going to hit the pocket even if you miss left. And obviously if you like throw a good shot, so let's say if you throw a good shot, no, obviously you're just going to get to the pocket. Let's say you throw a shot like this, throw a good shot, it gets slightly in the dry, gains traction, and then it hooks into the pocket, right? So there's your typical good shot. So basically, like regardless of whether you miss right or you miss left, as long as you are not missing by huge margin, like what J.R. Raymond has said, if you're missing like around probably 5 to like 7 boards at the 5 boards at the arrows, I guess, you still be hitting the pocket, right? And with a wide range, you can and you can do this with a wide range of ref rate. If your ref rate is as low as maybe like 100 to as high as like maybe like 500, obviously the ref rate 500 bowler has like decent enough ball speed to get the benefit of this allowance. Because if you have too high of a ref rate and too slow of a ball speed, your ball is gonna be really over under. So for example, for us two-handers, right, most of us, especially beginner two-handers, we struggle with slow ball speed. We have too high of a ref rate as compared to our ball speed. So maybe I'm gonna just focus on the house shot for now. So since we have too high of a ref rate as compared to ball speed, what happens is that when we go here, right? So let's say we send the ball out here, because we have such a high ref rate, it's gonna hit here and it's gonna snap like this. So maybe I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay, so what happens is that you have too high of a ref rate and too slow of a ball speed, it's gonna go pencil here, it's gonna draw out, hit the dry, and it's gonna snap because of the high ref rate compared to the slower ball speed. And because it doesn't have enough ball speed to go long enough down the lane to hit the pocket. So you're gonna actually miss right, you're gonna be punished by totally missing the pocket by overhooking. And if you throw a good shot, and you throw a good shot, it goes like here, and it skids and hooks like this. But that's assuming that you have enough ball speed. So if you have high ref rate and slower ball speed, you'll probably be playing like lines like this, right? You'll be throwing here, then you'll be aiming for a breakpoint around here and hook. So what happens is that because of the higher ref rate, you're gonna use up this line pretty quickly, and you won't have room to move to the right. So if you're moving to the right, your ball is gonna overhook, obviously, right? So you won't have room to move to the right, so you're gonna move left, obviously. And when you shift left, it's gonna be pretty difficult to get this launch angle. You gotta be a pretty good bowler to get a launch angle exactly to this breakpoint and to get this ball reaction. Because, like mentioned, if you actually shift in and you miss to the right, so let's say I shift in, I miss to the right? So I miss my ball to the right, I'm gonna hit the dry and my ball is gonna overhook because of the high ref rate compared to my slow ball speed overhooks. So I'm not gonna hit the pocket. Then if I miss left, my ball is still gonna overhook either way. So for example, if I miss left, because of the high ref rate compared to my slow ball speed, my ball is still gonna overhook. So it's gonna overhook here, even though there's higher volume of oil. Just that there's not enough oil, right, to contain like a two-handed bowler with too high of a ref rate compared to his slow ball speed. So so typically a house shot, I would say, gives allowance to like the average ref rate bowler, maybe from 100 to 300, with decent with ball speed that matches up that kind of ref rate. Like if you have a lower ref rate, probably you need to throw at a slightly slower ball speed. If you have a higher ref rate, like anything above 300 to like 400 ish ref rate, like two-handers or like thumbless one-handed bowlers, or like if you're a one-handed bowler that just has pretty good, no, you have a really good release, then you're gonna be hitting upwards of 300 RPM. So if you have a higher than 300 ref rate, then you will probably need high ball speed in order to get the room, like the room for error that the house shot is gonna give a typical bowler. But I would say anything that's like 100 plus to 200 plus ref rate, that kind of bowlers is gonna get quite a lot of room for error on this kind of house shot. Okay, so that's a typical house shot. Then let's compare it with a sports oiling, right? So let's bring it here. And let's bring this. So this is our Singapore Open oiling. So first and foremost, let's look at the ratio, right? So for Singapore Open, the ratio is 3.6 is to, no, 3.6. So which means if I were to like draw the oil on the outside, like board 1 has totally no oil at all. So compared to the house shot, which is like has, if you look at house shot again, right, on the house shot, there's all the way from boards 1 to 3, there's no oil. But like on a spot shot, there's only like board 1 that's totally doesn't have any oil at all. So then you start seeing a heavy, decently heavy volume of oil from boards 2 to 3, and it ramps up just a little bit gradually, whereby the center is 3.6 times thicker than just the outside. So here to here, the difference is 3.6, right? As compared to where on a house shot, where the difference from here to here is 15. Like in this case, this is 15. So there's 15 times the difference in volume of oil as compared to just 3.6 times different in volume of oil in this particular spot shot for the Singapore Open 2022. So what it means is that it's going to be a lot less room for error, right? So if you look at the charts here, right, on the oil pattern here, so yes, it seems like there's less oil over here. It's like slightly lighter blue as compared to, maybe let's scroll up here, like a lot of lighter blue here. You can see heavy like blue in the middle. So basically it's like if you miss on a spot shot, so let's draw out, right, what the ball is gonna be like on a spot shot. This is a spot shot, and if you miss, let's say you're gonna, maybe zoom out a little bit, right? Zoom out a bit, try and show the line to the pocket. So I'm gonna draw using this. So your typical like maybe strike shot would be something like this. Go here, go straight, and then hook to the pocket. Okay. So now if you miss to the right, there is still, as you can see, in your ideal strike line, your ball is traveling around this area. It's all even volume of oil, right? So which means if you miss to the right here, let's say you miss to the right, your ball is traveling in an even volume of oil. So it's not, so there's like no dry on the right of the lane to guide your ball to like get friction earlier and to hook back into the pocket. So you're gonna miss like this. So your ball is gonna stay in the oil and it's gonna miss parallel, to the right. So like the earlier shot is gonna go into the pocket, and if you miss to the right, it's gonna stay right and it's gonna like hit either light pocket or it's totally gonna miss the pocket. And if you miss left, so let's get the other shot, right? So if you're gonna miss left, so if you miss left like here, it's gonna, so you miss left here, it's gonna stay left and it's gonna go to the, it's gonna overhook into cross pocket if you're lucky. But if you miss too far left, it's gonna go, like let's say I miss left like this, right? Too far left, and it's gonna like totally miss the pocket, right? So obviously I'm using free flow line drawing, so my lines are not that great, but I hope whoever is watching this video like gets the general idea, right? So on a spot shot, it just means that you have a lot less room for error. So why do professionals like to bowl on this pattern basically don't have a choice. They were given this pattern by the tournament organizers because the tournament organizers want to make it such that their tournaments are like purely for professional bowlers or attract bowlers of the highest level, because only bowlers who are really confident in their accuracy and in like, and they have a wide range of balls, they have good experience playing these sport shots, would want to participate in like a tournament with a sports oiling, right? So if you're a typical bowler that doesn't have like much accuracy at all, if you try to bowl on this oiling, you're not gonna like hit your average score, right? You're gonna score a lot lower than average, because if you're missing like 3 boards to the left, then another 2 boards to the right, and then 5 boards to the right on the next shot, and then again 2 boards to the left on the next shot, your shots are gonna spray everywhere, right? They're gonna go like left and right. They're gonna go left, right. Maybe one shot you get a strike, and then you're gonna miss again. Then you're gonna go light pocket on the next shot. You're gonna go cross pocket on the next shot. Then you're not gonna score really well, and you're gonna like leave some ugly splits. Then you can't spare those splits, and your score is gonna go down. So only the best bowlers with like really good shot making skills, that means they keep hitting their targets, they can adjust to the lane conditions. Basically, like you basically need a lot of accuracy and consistency in order to like keep hitting the pocket on a spot shot. So yeah, so this is why tournaments, they use spot shots to test the bowler, right? Because they want the best bowlers to like get into their step ladder and to make it a competitive tournament, and it makes it kind of like fairer for the higher skilled bowlers, because if you're a high skilled bowler, you want to be rewarded for your skill. You want to be rewarded for your skill in your accuracy, your skill in your consistency, your skill in your ball control and your speed control, as compared to like a random house bowler who like misses on every single shot, right? So if you are like bowling in a house shot tournament, in a tournament that uses a house shot as an oiling, so they might just lose because of bad luck, right? Because on the typical house bowler is like he's gonna miss like 2-3 boards right, 2-3 boards left, and then he strikes on all 3 of his shots, right? So he misses right, he strikes, he misses left, he strikes again, then he throws a good shot, he strikes, then he misses right again and he strikes. And if you're the good bowler, obviously yes, you're throwing exactly on the same line and you strike as well, but then it goes down to random luck, right? There will be 1 or 2 shots, then you get a ringing 10. And then the house bowler just misses again and he gets lucky, and then he strikes again and he beats you, right? The better bowler. And you're gonna feel like you're gonna have a very bad feeling, right? Like you're gonna feel like life's so unfair. What, you're obviously the better bowler, but yet you're losing to a bowler who just got lucky. So this is why tournaments, especially the higher level tournaments with a higher prize pool, they put out sports oiling, because they want to attract the best bowlers and they want to reward the best bowlers, right? So that's that. And another thing I wanted to say before I made this video was that I wanted to highlight the fact that the typical house shot, right, rewards a certain kind of release, which is to have a much higher axis rotation. So this is typical house shot on my left, and this is the sport shot on my right. So the typical house shot, right, rewards how should I say, more axis rotation. For example, if you have an axis rotation that's like at least 45 degrees to like 60 degrees, and like a ref rate of between 100 to 200, you'll be doing pretty well and you have a pretty large room for error on a typical house shot. But if you have this same axis rotation, like 45 to 60 degrees on a sport shot, and you're not really accurate, even if you are accurate, you are going to suffer on the spot shot. So let me go into trying to explain why. So let's say on a typical like house shot, right, if you have this sharp axis rotation, that means your ball rotates around its axis quite a fair bit. That means it turns quite a fair bit, right, when it hits a dry. You're going to be rewarded on a typical house shot, because if you miss more to the right, let's say you miss extremely to the right, then this axis rotation is going to help you to get back to the pocket. Because if you're a bowler that has pretty low axis rotation, let's say your axis rotation is like going mostly forward, maybe 15 to 20 degrees, then you don't get the benefit of that really dry channel on the right of the house shot. Because if you miss to the right, your ball is just gonna lace around and it's just gonna go like this. It's not gonna drive into the pocket. And then if you miss to the left, you're gonna be fine still, because if you miss to the left, your ball is gonna stay in the oil and it's still gonna get into the pocket, right? So, but the fact is that you don't get the room for error by missing to the right. So this is why bowlers who have spent a lot of time bowling on house shots, like league bowlers, house bowlers, like bowlers who have never like gone into bowling a lot of sports patterns, they typically tend to develop, as they try and score better and better on their house shots, they tend to develop a release that has a very high axis rotation. And when these kind of bowlers get onto a sport shot tournament, they really, really struggle. Because in a sport shot tournament, what happens is that a bowler with such a, how should I say, high axis rotation, such a high degree of axis rotation, gets really, really jumpy ball motion. For example, let me try and zoom out a little bit here, right? Maybe I can zoom out a little bit. So, for example, if you have a bowler with like this sharp axis rotation, right? Like maybe 45 to 50 degrees of axis rotation, that's bowling on a sport shot. So what happens is that when they miss to the right, their ball is gonna stay right, because because there's just too much oil. So even though they have the axis rotation, their ball still isn't gonna come back when they miss to the right. That's because of the higher volume of oil to the right. So even though they have the axis rotation, it will still miss the pocket. So they don't get a benefit of missing right. But they get punished when they miss left, because since they don't have that high volume of oil when they miss left, like as if on a typical house shot. So let's say the bowler misses left, right? When they miss left, they're gonna go in the same volume of oil, and when it hits the dry here, it's gonna go this way. Their ball is literally gonna go sideways when it hits the dry. Because on like sport shots, the kind of like you'll feel like your backhand is really clean and strong. So when you have like so much axis rotation, so such a high degree of axis rotation, when it hits the backhand, the ball is literally gonna go sideways, and they're gonna really, really struggle to hit the pocket consistently with this high axis rotation, a high like so much side rotation or high degree of axis rotation, so to say. So that is the number one thing that I've noticed. Like I've played because I used to be a high axis rotation bowler, two-hander, and I've really struggled when I tried out Singapore Opens and Singapore Nationals on the sports oiling, mainly because of this issue. Like when I find that when I miss to the right, my ball doesn't come back, and when I miss to the left, I get severely punished because my ball doesn't stay in the thick oil as it does on a typical house shot, and my ball just like overhooks like mad and then goes into like pin 7, right? Then it leaves me with a very difficult spare, because I basically have to throw another perfect strike shot just to get a spare, and my score really tanks. So, and I've seen this when I watched like last year's Singapore Nationals as well. When I did video reviews of like bowlers in graded B and graded A. So like even some of them would like even like coaches, right? But they were coaches, but they were like not experienced. Their rotation, they simply have too much side rotation, right? Too much axis rotation, because they were probably too used to bowling house shots, and they didn't develop a release that enough for rotation. So when you're talking about a good like competitive bowler that's experienced on sport oil, what you want to do is develop more forward rotation, which is like talking about anywhere from like 15 to like maybe maximum 30 degrees of axis rotation. Even 45 degrees axis rotation is kind of a bit too much, in my opinion, for sports oil. So what the benefit of this is that when you go to basically more forward roll, right? So when they miss to the right, yes, there's still ball's going to stay to the right, and it's still going to miss the pocket, but when they hit like a good shot, it's going to strike. But when they miss to the left, they're not going to get punished as much. So when they miss to the left, let's say here, the ball is not going to go sideways, right? So they miss to the left, the ball is still going to overhook, but it won't overhook like to pin 7. Instead, it will just go cross pocket, right? And if they're lucky, it doesn't go high straight to like give them a split. So there's that. And the other disadvantage of like maybe I'll use yellow, like high axis rotation bowlers, is that when they go the angles that they have to play, right? So for example, if you're a bowler with a lot of axis rotation when you bowl on spot soil, you'll find that since you have no room for error on the right side of the lane, right? Because if you miss left, your ball overcooks a lot, you will tend to play deep in. So you tend to play like lines like this. So when you play lines like this, you will actually get a lot of splits when you barely miss the breakpoint. So what I mean is that maybe I can like draw a little bit better. Your ball will go this way. So yeah, aiming for the breakpoint here. Because of that high axis rotation, you want to get this angle into the pocket. But as you can see, when you miss to the right here, your ball is still going to stay to the right and it will probably go gutter. Because it's going to stay to the right and it go gutter. Because you're playing from too deep of a line. And when you miss to the left, even if you miss like maybe half a board, your ball is going to go high into the pocket and it's going to create a split. So you're going to get a split right here. Because you're going to go high solid into like the like board 20 and you're going to get split. And then the same thing as well, if you miss to the left, yeah, maybe you have a little bit room for error, a bit more oil, and you're going to go cross pocket. But the problem is the splits. So because if you had that high axis rotation, like you're going to hit some really, really nice strikes and you're going to suffer when you miss to the right, because when you miss to the right, your ball is going to go in the gutter. And when you like miss a bit to the left, yes, you get the room for error, you go cross pocket. But if you miss just a smidge to the left, like you're going to miss like maybe like half a board or even a quarter of the board to the left, you're going to go like really high pocket. And your ball is going to go in such a sharp angle that it's most likely going to leave you like a 7-10 split or like a really ugly like washout if you like just miss a little bit to the right and the ball goes too long, or you throw at too high a ball speed, or in the cases whereby it's going to split like I can't even describe the splits that I've encountered personally in the past when I have too much axis rotation. So yeah, it's basically going to be a very rough time. So bowlers with high degree of axis rotation, and if you couple it with like maybe slow ball speed and stuff like that, I don't know, like even if you have decent ball speed, I think too much axis rotation on a spot shot is just going to give you like a hell of a time. It's going to be a nightmare to score on. So you're just not going to get any room for error. So basically, I mean, my point is that for bowlers who are so used to bowling on typical house shots, they develop too much axis rotation. But when these bowlers transit to bowling on a spot shot, this high axis rotation really bites them in the butt, so to say, and they really struggle. So it takes them there's a steep learning curve for them to like really, they literally have to change their release to make the ball like go more forward to get a lot less axis rotation in order to like be even competitive on a house shot. On a spot shot, right? For the reasons I stated earlier, because if you have too much axis rotation, you just get very little room for error when bowling on a spot shot. Okay, whereby the bowlers with less axis rotation, like more forward roll, they actually get more room for error on a spot shot, because when they miss left, they don't get punished as badly, and they don't need to go like super deep into the lane. So for example, we're going to talk about the benefits of like lower axis rotation on spot shot again, which is like if they don't need to bowl like lines like this, right? Because since they have a low degree of axis rotation, their ball is not going to get a really nice entry angle if they go so deep. So what they're going to do is just going to stay mostly to the right. So they're going to play lines like this, go in here, and when they shift in, they're just going to make small adjustments, right? Shift in. And they're going to get benefit from playing really close to their earlier break point, because they're going to get benefit if they miss to the right. They're going to hit the dry of or the breakdown of their previous line, and it's going to help their ball to hook a little bit more into the pocket. So, and when they go slightly adjust left again, yeah, they're going to get the benefit of the earlier dry, and it's going to help them to like get to the pocket again. So these bowlers with lower degrees of axis rotation are going to benefit when they really see the benefit when they bowl on spot soil. They're going to be more consistent, they're going to hit the pocket more, and they're going to score higher with compared with bowlers with higher degrees of axis rotation. Okay, so I guess that's the main point that I was trying to make right before I made this video. I wanted to like highlight to people like, yes, there's a difference between house shot and spot shot, and house shot develops a certain kind of bowler. Basically, a bowler that has a high degree of axis rotation, whereby a bowler that always plays on spot shots of very flat patterns will develop a style with lower degrees of axis rotation. And if you are a high axis rotation bowler and you want to like score on a house shot, my advice is that you have to change your release. You have to find a way to get more forward roll into your shot, because if not, you're never gonna compete with the experienced bowlers who have already like changed their release, toned down their release, so to say. They actually are bowling always with like lower degrees of axis rotation on spot patterns. Okay, so that's about it. That's my video on the difference between house shot and spot shot. And the next video I'm probably gonna make is I'm gonna go in depth to review the Singapore Open oiling. Like I'm gonna talk about where would be the ideal areas to play, in my personal opinion. How much the volume of oil is gonna affect your ball choice, because it's pretty high volume. And it's probably going to create some carry down, like what kind of balls is going to create carry down, maybe what surface you probably might want to start with, and even like what blocks, right? What is the master qualifying blocks? What's your strategy for the MQ, right? It's going to go like the MQ sessions. So like, please stay tuned for the next video. So make sure to subscribe if you find this content useful, because I'm gonna keep on releasing more content, and I hope that the future content will be useful to you as well. So please subscribe and stay tuned for the next video. See ya.